Alright, we are now looking at figure 563, and this one obviously has a few more circles on it, but in order to start drawing the circles we need the solid figure of the part first, which what I'm going to look at here is this L. So we've got a sideways L. I'm going to get this solid sideways L on there first and then add the circles second. So in order to get that, I know I got to go back at 7.5 and over at 3 1/4. So let's go in here. The first thing I have to do is switch to my isometric snap, so I'm going to right click down there, go to settings, change to my isometric snap, hit OK. I said that the line was back this direction at 7.5, and then it was to the right at 3 1/4. So there's my V. How thick is that block? It says right here that it is 3/4 tall. And then 3/4 tall again. I can go ahead and connect that top piece if I want. Now to get this back L, it says this back L is up 2 1/4. Then it also says that it's over 1 inch. So I'm going to start in this back corner, go up 2 1/4. I got to control E it to go over 1 inch and then down. How far down? I don't know how far down. I don't need to know. I'm just going to go down past the part, and then I'm going to draw a line from this point back just so that it intersects. Once I have the intersection, then I can either trim it out or just drag the pieces back like I'm doing to get to that part. I'm going to go ahead and copy this line. It says select object, so that's what I selected. I'm going to right click. It says specify a base point, this point. It says where do you want to go to? I want to go here, here, and here. And then I'm going to go ahead and connect up all the parts. So I've got my initial overall sideways L that I was just talking about. I'm going to start by getting this arc on here next. So the arc itself, it says, is a radius of 1 5/8. I don't even really have to know that because I'm going to show you how to get the arc without really knowing the measurement. I'm going to draw a circle, really half a circle, but it's not a circle at all. It is an ellipse. So I'm going to type in EL enter. I enter for iso circle. Now it says specify the center of the iso circle right here. Now as I pull it out, again it's not off, it's off the front view plane, so to switch it I'm going to control E it. There's off the top view plane, I'm going to control E it. Now this is the one that we're looking right at. Now I could type in 1 5/8 and it should shoot it right there, but if I know if I'm going off this midpoint and I just zoom in on this endpoint, it better be exact already, and it is. I'm going to copy this iso circle, right click, from here, from here to here. That gives me the thickness of it. And then I've got to trim out the bottom halves of both of these circles. So I'm going to hit trim, and I'm just going to select this line and this line, right click, and then it says what do you want to trim? I don't want this. And it didn't like what I did, so I'm going to try it a different way. I'm going to hit trim. I'm going to select everything. There we go. Probably should have just done that the first time. Now obviously we got some hidden lines in here, so I'm going to take this one and this one out of here now because we don't see them. But then we got this funky looking corner up here, so we've got to connect that. And how to connect that, it's either going to be a midpoint to a midpoint or a quadrant to a quadrant. And then we can bring this back, you can trim it or you can pull it out just like such. So now you've got that back arc piece. I'm going to leave this line in there because now we've got to draw all three of the small circles. We've got a circle here, and a circle here. It says we got a 1 3/8 inch diameter for all three holes. So a 1 3/8 inch diameter. So I'm going to draw an iso circle. I'm going to go EL enter, I enter. From here, pull it out, and it is a D enter of 1 3/8. So there's that circle. Now I can get rid of this one. I've got to find my 2 center points for my bottom one. We're going to come, it says in 1 1/2 and then in 3 inches. So I'm going to go from this midpoint, Control E, 1 1/2, and then 3 inches. One and a half, 3. Once again, it says the diameters are 1 3/8. So I'm going to draw 2 iso circles. I'm going to go EL enter, I enter. It says what's the center point right here. I got to Control E it, and it is a D enter of 1 3/8. Draw another one. Repeat the ellipse, I enter, and then D enter of 1 3/8. Now the part in essence is done, but look here, you can kind of see what I call the eye holes. You got eye holes here and here. Alright, so what we've got to do is we've got to copy these circles down the thickness of the part, which is the 3/4 of an inch. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go up here to copy. It says select objects you want to copy. I'm going to select this circle and this circle. There's nothing else I want to copy. Right click. Now it says specify a base point. Really I could go anywhere on the screen, but I already know that this is the thickness of the part right here, so I'm going to go from the top of it to the bottom of it. Right click enter. And now that gives me my eye holes, other than I got to trim out the bottom half of them. Now if we look at this one, if I go to copy this circle from the front of it to the back of it, notice though that that circle does not show up. There is no eye hole right here, so that is why we do not show one for this figure. Figure 563 is now complete.